Based on the title, you might think that this episode is about exposition, since Show Don't Tell is about conveying information to the audience cinematically instead of directly through dialogue. For instance, avoiding the whole as you know issue like this.
I have good news. As you know, I conducted a raid on the Great Library, which most said didn't even exist.
Get on with it.
As you know, our blockade is perfectly legal, and we'd be happy to receive the ambassadors.
The issue there specifically is that you have one character that is explaining something to another that should already have that information, so you end up feeling the writer's hand. And even great films fall into this, and it's not always a bad thing. I will say up front that if it didn't bother you while you were watching, it's probably not a problem. But a more cinematic way to convey important information is indirectly. For instance, Super 8 begins in a factory on a days since last incident sign, where we watch a worker change it, then immediately we cut to a boy dressed in all black alone on a swing, and without a single word spoken, we get it. But that's not what we're talking about today. Today we're talking about telling or using sound when you can't show. And that could be for budget reasons, time, skill, whatever it is. For instance, showing the monster there would have complicated things beyond what would be possible, so instead of showing, we tell you it's there through the roar. Then the type of roar tells you about how big of a monster we're dealing with, what kind it is, and we're also using the performance here, the eye line shifting up to show its height, and the leaf blower to give intensity to the roar, all of which is telling you about the size of the monster that you can't see. So hopefully, a picture is being painted in your mind. And this is done in films constantly, like M. Night's Signs. It doesn't have to be just about budget, it can also be about saving time. You don't want to cut around an environment in your film to show birds chirping or other elements, but that may be important. The sound does a lot in that moment. You're getting the life of the world outside the window, making the scene feel alive, but you're also getting the gunshot and the danger of the environment he finds himself in, all without showing anything. And that is what I mean by tell, don't show. You are using sound to convey information about things you can't or don't want to show. This idea, for me, is very similar to the famous Hitchcock montage idea.
The assembly of film and how it can be changed to create a different idea. Now we have a close-up. Let me show what he sees. Let's assume he saw a woman holding a baby in her arms. Now we cut back to his reaction to what he sees. And he smiles. Now what is he as a character? He's a kindly man. He's sympathetic. Now, let's take the middle piece of film away, the woman with the child, but leave his two pieces of film as they were. Now we'll put in a piece of film of a girl in a bikini. He looks, girl in a bikini, he smiles. What is he now? The dirty old man. He's no longer the benign gentleman who loves babies. That's the difference. That's what film can do for you.
But instead of changing what we cut to, let's take this shot of Justin and change what we hear.
So dating is something, that I don't know anything about. So I'll just skip to the next topic. Hemorrhoids.
First, we have an unamused patron at open mic night, or we could then shift it again and make him a perv at a strip club. Or a villain showing indifference to violence.
Please, no more! I'm telling you, no! Don't tell you, I swear! I don't know!
Same shot, different sound, and it completely changes the meaning and allows us to convey violence without ever showing it, which is another great use, whether you're wanting to avoid being too graphic, don't have the resources, or it's one of the cases where not showing is more effective, like in Alien. The xenomorph approaches Lambert, but then it cuts right before the violence, allowing the sound to carry over, and not seeing that outcome builds tension here, leading to our final moments. Or in another M. Night film, Knock at the Cabin, some of the character deaths happen just off-screen or entirely off-screen, with sound conveying the brutality.
Part of humanity has been judged.
For me, this helps make what could have been an overly disturbing moment a little more palatable. But the opposite could also be true. You can use sound to ramp up the disturbing volume, like we showed in an older episode.
Oh, wow. Oh my god.
Makes a huge
The
difference.
second one is so disturbing.
Adding that extra gore sound changed the meaning. It made it far more brutal. So the sound alone is altering intention, just like music does.
Now it's time for another kiss or kill! If you guessed kill, you were right!
Today's sponsor is one of my favorites in a while. This is called Krotos Studio, and it allows you to perform sounds to picture. For instance, if you need ambience, normally you're just searching for the right one and dropping that in as is. But here, you select what you want to work with, click over here, then you have these different elements that you can shift to. So I move around to get more traffic or skyline and more sirens or horns, with a mix of both in the middle. Down here, it records my performance of this sound, and when I'm done, I drag and drop right into my software. One of the things I love most is footsteps. Footsteps are always a massive pain to cut in, but here you can perform them, find the sound that you want, and tap as the character walks. But similarly, we have Foley here with a ton of must-have stuff, especially doors and close. Then we have crowds, which is insanely cool. Here you can adjust the size of the group and balance between male and female sounding voices. Then you have weather with wind and rain, and even royalty-free music, which they've added recently. You perform the track, shifting to fit your narrative. And maybe the coolest feature of them all is this AI ambience feature, which is not generative AI. AI is not creating these sounds. Instead, it's using what you type here to collect real sounds into custom ambience. So I can either type what I want like this, or drop in an image for it to interpret, and it works really well. The best part is you can try it for free at krotos.studio, and if you dig it, you can get 10% off your first monthly or yearly subscription for Krotos Studio and Krotos Studio Pro. It helps us out, helps you out, and it's genuinely awesome. So links in the notes below.
Now it's time for another kiss or kill! If you guessed kiss, you were right!
So we already talked about using sound to convey information, whether that's to make a location more alive or specific, or accomplish something that you don't have the resources or budget to show.
It's your bumper, dude. Pretty sure she'll buff right out there. Watch out, dude, watch out!
But you can also use sound in this way for suspense, like alerting your character and the audience to danger using nothing but sound. This moment lets us know that the danger is coming, and the sound of the dog tells us of that danger's intention. There's so much information given in that small moment while we're just looking at a wall. It's a perfect example of the power of sound. And Signs is a great example throughout, constantly using sound to express danger in the film. You can also shift the entire mood of a scene by altering your ambience. You have the sounds of the world set, then like the sound of the dog, you can shift dramatically for a new tone. What I love about this is that, sure, technically you are reducing the amount you need to shoot, but you're also constructing a moment of unknown. It allows you to stay with these characters, imagine the danger, watch their reaction to it. It's incredibly cinematic and, in my opinion, far more immersive since it's demanding your participation. All of the examples we looked at are, of course, manipulating your emotions, but you can also describe the emotion of a character through sound instead of visuals as well. Take this moment, for instance. This has been done in plenty of films, but that technique of stripping out the world's sound puts us firmly in that character's very disoriented perspective. And I think that is what is powerful about this device. It is putting you more firmly into their shoes since the sound is sort of putting you inside their head. Another great example comes from Oppenheimer. Nolan uses sound throughout to get you into Oppenheimer's headspace, with my favorite example being this moment here. Nolan could have used dialogue, and he definitely is using visuals here as well, but the sound, at least for me, is the main driving force that's informing the emotions of this very tense and personal moment. We step out of the reality of the room and directly into the shoes of one man. And this one is far more of a marriage of sound and visuals from the other things we've shown, but still one of the best examples of the power sound brings to the emotion of a moment. It's the sound elements that they removed and added that took the scene to such a deeply personal and singular viewpoint. But hopefully all that gives you a good example of how you can utilize sound in mostly simple ways to convey things that are difficult to show, with plenty of times telling or allowing us to hear it being more effective than actually showing it. Which of course is just my opinion, but for me, sound is like music, same as how John Williams used the score to represent the shark they famously couldn't show. The film is objectively better for it. And I think it's for the reason I said before. It's one of the few ways you can force your audience to actively participate and so engage and immerse more. But that is it for today, and this kicks off an almost full month on sound for us. Next week we have a VFX shot, but we're also creating some big sounds from scratch. And as always, if you dug the episode, do us a favor, like, subscribe, comment, send kisses, whatever. It all helps. And then hit the bell button to be notified when we put up more goodness. And until next time, don't forget to write, shoot, edit, repeat.
Josh, close your eyes! Damn it, Josh! It's weird!
Ta-ta.